I want to welcome you. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you for taking your time, your energy, and your effort to come and learn and share what I'm presenting as what I call the Boss Energy Pathway. My mission statement here is a little bit different. I'm always about deconstructing the walls between the sacred and the secular so that we can have balance, so that we can have freedom, and so that we can have success. You're going to get really strands of that, threads of that throughout. But for this particular course, my mission statement here is to engage disruptive change. And just take note of that. I plan to engage disruptive change to nurture living in boss energy at all times, in all places. That's what my takeaway purpose is. And that's what I hope to do here, is to really engage. And I have to apologize that that's a little bit off the screen again, because my technology is doing something on its own here today. But I hope that you can see the crux of it. The mission statement. This is what I want to take place in your life. I want you to engage disruptive change. And I'm going to tell you what that is in just a moment, so that you can nurture living all the time in boss energy in all times, in all places. So that is the mission statement of this journey. Why the boss energy path? Because it's created to change the world one person at a time and bring diversity, equity, and inclusion for all. As we each expand into our respective boss energy personas, the culmination of the people in mass will transform society. People living by the boss energy path will themselves become a healing salve. And that's what really the takeaway here. I want you to be successful. And in that success, I want you to be a person that diversity, equity, and all of the things that really should include you in this society become open to you, even if not by the system. I'm not worried about the system anymore, you guys. I'm not worried about the system. My thing right now is, you see what I put down in the corner. Believe in yourself and you will be unstoppable. I believe that even if the system closes its doors to us, that at this juncture, and if we get into this concept of boss energy at all times, in all places, we can be the healing salve, and the success cannot be blocked from us. I genuinely believe that in my heart. So to get into the intro of this, what is disruptive change? Let's challenge everything you currently believe. And that's what I intend to do. And it may get uncomfortable at times. I hope to do it in a very loving and gentle and kind way, so that nobody feels intimidated or threatened in any way, shape, or form. But listen, if we're going to talk about even coming into the first core, the first section that we're going to do is called anchoring the core. Anything that's shaky in your concept, anything that's shaky in your spirituality, anything that's shaky, I want to challenge that to the core. I want to shake it up so that anything that's not anchored down gets shook loose. And so that's why I'm coming with disruptive change. And I'm challenging everything so that we can promote clarity and true anchoring to your core. Now, this is the definition of disruptive change or disruptive innovation. And this is from a business concept, but I'm pushing it into a spiritual concept. The principles of disruptive innovation allow entities to take a step back. And that's what I feel like we need to do in this world. We need to take a step back and analyze what's currently going on in this world. They're talking about products and services. I'm talking about spirituality, and I'm talking about everybody coming out with boss energy and the world moving in a way so that everybody is a part of the function of the world in a positive way. I don't want to be relegated and delegated to anything less than. There is greatness in you. You're going to hear me say that to you over and over and over again. And I hope if you don't hear anything else from me this morning, you walk away from here knowing there is greatness in you. And what we're just striving to pull out here is that greatness by stepping back and analyzing. And so listen, this is why I say it's college level, not because it's getting ready to be intensive in a whole bunch of jargon and this and that and the other. I say it's college level because I want you to analyze. I want you to use your minds. I'm not asking you to take anything hook, line, and sinker just because spiritual thought leaders said it. I want you to challenge me, but above all, challenge yourself. Like I said, James Cone in his writing, he said, look, we've taught the people, love the Lord thy God with all thy heart. We've taught them how to love the Lord thy God with all thy soul, or at least we say it, but I challenge that. But we have not come to the point of teaching the people, love God with your mind. And so this is what I want you to do in these sessions. I want you to utilize your mind, and anything that doesn't set, anything that doesn't settle, I want you to analyze it and challenge it. And what we get to at the end, what areas can be improved, what an opportunity exists in consumer needs that can benefit from an innovative solution and more. And so I'm contending that the boss energy concept is an innovative solution. It may not be the only solution. There may be many solutions. Some of you all, as you're listening to what's going on in the classes, you may come up with the solution yourself. You may come up with an idea that you launch off with and you branch out and do. So the innovation that comes can come from any direction, but what I'm going to do is be disruptive. And that's my intent, is to disrupt every place that is settled and feeling comfortable. Now, the boss energy path can bring out the essence of your inner creativity that's been waiting to be unleashed from the time you were born. When God thought of you, everybody that's in this room today, when God thought of you, God thought of you with an intent in mind of you being successful, of you being powerful, of you making a difference in this world. You're not in here today by accident, but there's a reason why you're here. And I put off to the side, and I understand some of that's off the screen. It says, happiness is found when you stop comparing yourself to other people. And I want you to get that down in your shando. Happiness is found when you stop comparing yourself to other people. You be you and you do you. So this is a question rhetorically. How many of you believe that other people can live their dreams, but your destiny is to be a mere dreamer? And you've got these dreams going on in your head. You've had them since childhood, or you've had them at different points and phases in life. And they do change as your life changes. The dreams that I have now, many of them are really from as early as I can remember, but they've shifted, they've morphed, they've taken some changes as I've gotten older. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to just be a dreamer. I'm going to live my dream. And that's what I want you to take away. It's not true that you're just going to be a dreamer. You can walk the boss energy path and actualize your passion. And that's all I want you to do, is know how to tap into it. So at the end of the day, what we're talking about, manifest. We've been talking about it. Now, manifest. See power in the mirror. I touched on that on yesterday. Actualize your fullest potential. Align with others as well for synergy. The more people living their optimum reality, the more the world will experience healing. And I believe that with all my shando. So this is what I call, and these are the 5 steps that I call the boss energy path. Anchor your core, which is where we're going to start today. Anchor your core. If you're not anchored, if you're floating and flying everywhere, if you're all over the place, you're here, you're there, you're everywhere with no stability, if you don't anchor that core. And so that's where we start with that spirituality, because to me, spirituality is key. Spirituality is fundamental. And even when I say that, spirituality is not relegated to Christianity. Spirituality, and let me just say with that, I am an interfaith practitioner. That's part of what I went to school for, and that's part of why I went to the school that I chose, because I don't choose to be just one particular area of religion and theology. I am an interfaith practitioner. So when you're listening to this, even for those that will come after we've had this class and you look on it in review, please understand when I talk about spirituality, I'm not relegating that simply to Christianity, so that you don't tune me out before we get there. The second point, activate balance in your life. We've got to come to a place of balance. Thirdly, assert your freedom. And I use that word assert because I want you to assert it. I don't care who, where, why, when, and how. Assert your freedom. Fourthly, I want you to invigorate your creativity. It's there, but for some of it, you need to enliven it again. You need to invigorate it again. You need to give it the energy again, because whether it was disappointments, whether it's what you called failures, and even as King Kuji says, listen, when you say a L isn't for loss, L is for learning. But if you have a different perspective that sees it as a loss, you may need to now come back and invigorate your creativity all over again. But it's in there. When we talk about being created in God's image, it's not that he has two eyes, a nose, and a mouth. We talk about being created in God's image. It is the ability to speak and create. Ashe. Hey, release your boss energy. And so that's what we're dealing with. And that's what I'm going to be talking to you about. And that kind of gives you the framework of where we're starting from on today. Now, that being said, I'm going to try to stick as much as I can to the notes just for the sake of time and making sure that we get enough time to really cover everything that I hope to cover as we talk through this first session. And I definitely want to give you, please take notes or write down questions or whatever, because we will have a time where it's what I call reclaiming the text. And when you hear me say reclaim the text, that's a womanist concept that says we're going to take this text that's been given and we're going to go back and analyze it and pull it apart and pick it apart and look at and talk about and identify how it impacts us, how we embrace it or not. So when we talk about reclaiming the text as a time, that's going to be today. I put it in as Q&A just for the simple fact of people being able to understand what I'm saying. But when we get to the reclaim the text time, that is the time that we'll all talk together and share our thoughts about what you guys have seen and heard on today. Now, so let's get into anchor the core. That's where we're going to start. Anchor the core. And this again is the primary, to me, foundational level. Again, if your core is not anchored, then everything else is going to be amiss. Now, I start with the idea of dust to dust. And if I used someone else's terminology, they call human beings stardust. And I want you to have even that takeaway. You're a star. You are stardust. And the idea that the molecules that are in stardust, the molecules that are in all the things that make up this world, those are the molecules and the atoms that you have in your body. We're intricately connected. We're just as valuable, just as precious. So anchoring the core deals with grounding yourself. That grounding includes the basics of being grounded to nature. This will allow you to achieve being a confident energizer. In this course, you will learn about various grounding methods and selection, and you will know your own grounding skills, because what works for one may not work for the next person. And so I want you to understand this is not a one size fits all kind of concept and scenario. This is something that, again, I want you to make it personal, because it is. And look at that little quote over there to the side. Who looks outside dreams, but who looks inside awakes. And there we go with dust to dust. So again, here we have the intro to anchoring the core and dust to dust. I'm here to be a spiritual disruptive force. I'm here to bring disruptive change into your environment to get down to the core and the nitty gritty of your spirituality. That's what I hope to do, is to get down to that. So this is a question I want you to, this is one of the first ones I want you to write on. I'm going to keep going, but I want you to answer this question. Who formulated your ideas of spirituality? Who formulated your ideas of spirituality? Did you follow the traditions of your family, Or did you follow your own path and choose a journey of spirituality that fit your true beliefs, that fit with your true beliefs? And I want you to answer that question when you write it down as honestly as you can. And I want you to be very, very sincere. Who formulated your ideas of spirituality? Let me clarify. When I talk about spirituality, I'm not talking about religion, but for many, they think religion and spirituality are one and the same. And I say they are not. So you can have good religion, certainly, Lord, and still not have spirituality. So I want you to ask yourself, why am I asking you to ask yourself that? Because the disruptive change that I want to bring into your world and into your thinking, is this something that you truly believe? Or is this something that you've just been taught, and you've been taught it so long and you've been taught it so strongly that this is what you adhere to? But is it really truly what you believe? That's where I want to shake you up and ask that question right off the bat. And then I want to come here because I know many that are going to be in the sessions live. I understand your background is one of Christianity, but I want to challenge you here. How many of you believe that only Christians operate in genuine spirituality? I want you to answer that question very honestly. How many of you believe that only Christians operate in genuine spirituality? This is a definition that I want to put out there. And this is a definition that I took away from my classes in the interfaith movement. Because understand, if we are looking at our brother and we're looking at our sister and we're feeling like, I know how we've been trained, I need to convert you. If I'm looking at you like I need to convert you and they're looking at me like I need to convert you, there's going to constantly be an inability for us to have genuine, free, and open conversation and dialogue with one another without somebody feeling like they are superior and someone else is inferior in their belief system. So that's what I want to challenge. So I like this definition that I was given, and I want to share it. This is a definition of the children of God because we're all children of God. We are all children of God that coexist in a sacred world. Now, I know for some, again, I'm going to say you operate from where you are. Embrace what you can. And at the end of the day, as you write down your journey on this path, I'm not telling you this is the definition that you have to take away, but I just want you to know the perspective from which I come. This is my belief of the children of God, that we are all children of God and that we coexist in a sacred world. Now, you see there where I say Baswati, my Hindu friend from Calcutta. I encountered in an interfaith group a dear friend. Her name is spelled, part of that's cut off, Bhaswati. Baswati is a Hindu friend of mine that I'm going to tell you what, when you talk about real relationship with God, and I'm going to go to the scripture even that says, by this shall all men know that you're my disciples, how you have love one for and toward another. This beautiful woman from Calcutta has to be one of the most spiritually in tune people that I have ever met. She invited me and asked me to be a part of her granddaughter's, her daughter-in-law was pregnant, and her granddaughters, before she's even born, they begin to speak over the child. They speak over the children. She asked me to come and be a part of that, and not just as a spectator, but she invited me as a key to that component. So when I went and the room was full of just beautiful Hindu people, and, some even challenged in language barrier. But I promise you, when I began, I kneeled down on my knees and I put my hands on that mother's to be stomach, and I began to speak. I had written a poem that was a poetic prayer. And when I wrote and spoke that poetic prayer to Baswati's daughter-in-law and to everyone that was gathered there, when I tell you the power of love, and the power of God that so filled that space, y'all. I'm telling you, that room was transformed. That room went to a whole nother level. As a matter of fact, I told somebody I almost would liken it to some of the old school Pentecostal revivals that I've been to. Because I'm telling you, when I got down on my knees and I began to recite that poem to that mother-to-be's belly and that baby that was there, and begin to speak to that child that was in the womb, those people went in. Do you hear me? I'm telling you, it's almost like a firecracker, like a bomb exploded, and they went in. And at the end of the day, I'm telling you, we had a spiritual experience in that room that has transcended most services that I've participated in on the Christianity side. I tell you what Baswati did for me. And we remain friends to this day. She did have to go back to Calcutta, but she was that friend that anytime, listen, this woman was like, there's something going on in town. I bought you a ticket. Please come. Paid lock, stock, and barrel. After it's over, please come to dinner, and I paid for your meal. And I'm talking about, we're not talking about $5 and $10 worth. I'm talking about this woman is laying out real money to go to very nice, extravagant places with others of her community. We're talking doctors, lawyers, all kinds of professional people, and they're speaking over the child, might I add. This is what you're going to be. And they're speaking all of this into this child. I watched all of this. I observed, and I'm telling you, when I tell you, you're not ever, and some of you may be totally offended with my theology and my embracing, but at the end of the day, you're not going to tell me that Baswati doesn't know God. Just because she didn't confess with her mouth the Lord Jesus, I'm gonna lose somebody right here, and believe in her heart that God raised him from the dead, you're not going to convince me that woman and the love and the expression and the power. And this is what I'll tell you as well. I've seen her and watched her when she didn't even know I was watching her. And when you talk about integrity, that's Baswati. When you talk about reaching out and giving her need, all of that she has to those in need, that's Baswati. When you talk about a lover of people and a lover of God, that's Baswati. Anything that you can take out of the sacred text of the scripture, I can tell you that's Baswati. And so I don't have the same takeaway that everybody else has. And she was really much a portal, a real portal. I was always in the mindset that, no, I'm not necessarily there with y'all in your concept. But at the end of the day, she sealed the deal. Baswati sealed the deal for me. So the boss energy path is going to come from a place of where I have evolved to. I believe in Black liberation theology. I believe in tribal spirituality, and I believe in womanist theory. We'll get into all of that a little later on. So then when we get finished, manifest the power, actualize the fullest potential, align with others for synergy. The more people are living their optimum reality, the more the world will experience healing. And that means for me, people of all faiths and all tribes and all people. So what I look at is that we've had a season and a time where we've done what I call weaponizing God. And this is just some intro. This is just some foundation. This isn't going to be the direction that I go throughout, but I just feel like I need to have some foundational places laid so we can understand and be on the same page. So when we talk about what has happened, that religion has taken us so far away from spirituality, I say, and I believe it's because of weaponizing God. We look at the King James Version and we can have a discussion about that, but I'm not going to belabor the time today. But please believe me when I say it was utilized and written, and the authorized version was put out because King James was trying to solidify his rule and authority under one rule and under one religion. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But at the end of the day, and this is where I'm going to disrupt. This is where I'm going to disrupt, because I know some of you have very closely held belief systems, even where this is concerned. But this is where I may disrupt. There are problems with texts. There are problems with texts. Now, I'm going to start with the Black liberation theology and say I have a problem with the book of Philemon or Philemon, whichever way you choose to pronounce it, because it deals with an idea that a good Christian that has been given to the Lord is going to go back to your master, go back to your slaveholder. And I'm not going to get into that scripture right now, but we'll deal with it a little bit later. Even if they're good, even if they're wicked, go back. That's the right thing to do and suffer, because that's the way Jesus suffered for us. I challenge that on all fronts. To me, that's a problem with the text. Is that really what God wants? Is that really what God wants? There are certain areas of the Pauline epistles. Is that really, when I start saying it's a shame for a woman to not learn at home, husbands teach these women at home, and is that really? Is that really? And so again, I want you to understand, I believe it's a weaponizing mechanism to weaponize God to put somebody superior and somebody else inferior. But is that really the way God operates? And do we really believe that God is no respecter of persons? I have a question with the text in the Old Testament wars. When we go in and we hear the scriptures say, kill everybody, man, women, boys, girls, dog, cat, whatever's in the city, kill it all. Now, at the end of the day, in these days and times, we would say those are crimes against humanity, and it would be illegal. It's the very element of why there were the issues with after the Holocaust. You cannot just go in and kill up a whole lot of people, because that's crimes against humanity. When we've gone and seen different things happen in other parts of the world, it's crimes against humanity. And I'll purport that even for some of what we've endured here in this country, it is crimes against humanity. So if it's true all the time, and then I'm gonna say, okay, but if it's true part of the time, but it's not true all of the time, and did God really say, if somebody came today and they came to your town, they came to your neighborhood, and they said, God sent me and told me I was to kill up everybody in here, all of your children, all of the people here, all of your livestock, all of your family, do you really believe that God told them to do that? There's a problem with the text. The treatment of women. And I'm going to tell you, by the time we got to Genesis chapter 3, women were in trouble. By the time we got to Genesis chapter 3, now you got a whole 66 books, but by the time you get to Genesis, the very first book and the third chapter, we have an issue with women, and it never corrects itself. I don't care what the blood of Jesus did in Christianity, it still has a problem correcting itself. But then the question again begs, was it ever intended to be that way? And then again, as I said, the slave to master relationship is definitely a problem in the text that has to be dealt with. So I looked at and I pulled this out, this old Negro spiritual song that the slaves sang back in the day. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. And before I'd be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. Is that a just sentiment from people that have been oppressed in slavery, while the text says to go back, whether they're good, whether they're evil, go back and subject yourselves as unto the Lord, for this is right. So we've got problems with the text, folks. So we've seen religion as a divider. And so what I'm looking and what we anticipate is that we've got to start creating a message to all without sacrificing people's personal beliefs. And that, I'm just not going to go a whole lot of places with that. We may do more in the conversation, but this is what I want through Boss Energy, to be able to create a message to all without sacrificing personal beliefs. You see, I put those camels there. Why? Because the Israeli and the Palestinian conflict that started all the way back in the Old Testament, because religion is a divider. That started all the way back in the Old Testament, and it's still going on today, and they're still killing each other over religion and space. So we've got to create a message to all without sacrificing personal beliefs. So we want to create through Boss Energy, pro voice. Everybody has a voice. Expand your wisdom, no more than just your little books and just your little area. I want you to expand your wisdom, explore literature. And this is what I say, and some people are going to be offended by this, but to be able to get to the table without having so much animus, without being so angry at one another, take God out of the conversation so we can just see each other, humanity to humanity, and figure out what are our next steps. So disruption, talk back to the text, explore new ideas in literature, old and new. And that's what we want to do. That's what I'm purporting, and that's what we're engaging in. Now, I'm going to stop right there. We're going to talk about frequency. When you talk about coming to a place of anchoring your core, we're going to talk about energy, because we're talking about anchoring the core. We're going to talk about states of matter. We're going to talk about the elements, because all of those are basics to nature. And so I want to deal with all of that. Now, this is what I'm going to do for the last section before we start talking. And so I want to play, if you will, and this is where I want you to start journaling as well. I want to play some material that is actually from Tribal. I want you to listen to the experience. I want you to write down your reaction to the experience, and then we're going to talk about it. So the first one, and this one right here, I just absolutely love. And I'm going to start with this one just so in case we run out of time, I may not be able to get to the others. But I want to start with this one. This is a chant from Africa. So when I say we talk about and we embrace spirituality, not just from the Christian standpoint. I'm not trying to convert anybody. I'm not trying to change anybody. That's not where I'm coming from. But I am trying to open your understanding that there's more than what many of us have been taught. I want you to listen to this spiritual chant, and I'm just going to play it and let it play out. And please write down what you feel. And everybody's not going to feel the same thing. But this is a chant from the whole Weena people, and I believe they are in, I did have the location that they were from. Let me see if I can come down. And we're talking about folks that are in the recesses of the motherland that are not going to necessarily fit within the confines and the construct of Christianity. I'm going to challenge you. So do you believe, if they've not confessed with their mouth the Lord Jesus, and they haven't believed in their heart that God raised him from the dead, are these people going to hell? Question in my soul today. Now, listen to this and write down your emotions and write down your feelings as you hear it.
Waza, come. Come here to receive the blessings. Oh, that is for you. Lerato, Letabo, Kaiso, Kumo, Sebete, Matla, Hoina, love, joy, peace, wealth, courage, and strength. unto you. Yes, you. Come receive the blessing. Come receive the joy. Come receive the love. Come receive the peace. Come receive the wealth. Come receive the courage. Come receive the strength. Right now unto you. Right now unto you. Ancestors that mean us well. Come, Woza. Come, Woza. Come, Woza. Come. May your mind be wrapped in the peace that surpasses all understanding. May your heart be engulfed with the flames of joy. May the garment of peace garrison your life. May wealth overtake you all the days of your life. May courage be your inhabitation. And may strength be in your bones. Take your feet, plant them on that ground, and run on. Oh, and run on. Take your feet, plant them on the ground, and run on. Oh. Run on, run on. You are strong. You are strong. You are. Take the courage right now. Take it and put it in your pouch. Oh yeah. You can do. You can do anything you put your mind to. Yes. Anything you put your mind to. Yes. Oh, 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 you can. For nothing is impossible. For nothing, oh, nothing is impossible. I'm too hard for you. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Hold on, no, no, no. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Oh, ooh, oh, oh, ooh, oh, nah. Conjure up the magic that's within, that's within, right now, right now. It's in you. Black magic is in you. You are black magic, black magic. Oh,
Now that goes on for about let me see. There's about 8 more minutes, about 8 more minutes left. Everybody take yourself off mute. Everybody take yourself off mute. And this is where, again, the conversation about spirituality I'd like to engage now. And I'd almost ask for some as you and I chose to stop it there for a reason, because you heard her mention black magic, and she's praying to the spirit of Oya. And so let's have a conversation. Spirituality. Anybody, tell me, what was your takeaway? What did you feel? What was your sense as you listened to that?
Hello.
Yes, go right ahead.
This is Sassy Cassie. Okay. To me, the chant is what was a call to tribes and nations to unite virtually with Thanksgiving because she spoke a lot of the virtues that she was speaking over people. But no matter what nation or tribe you're from, when you have those virtues, you become a thankful person, and you open yourself up to so many blessings.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hello?
Yes. Go ahead, SK.
Yes, this is SK. What I felt emotionally, and I'm so glad for what Sassy Cassie said because I agree 100% with her. But what I felt was a familiarity, almost as though this is someone that I have known all of my life, even though we are from different corners of the world. I hear you and you are familiar to me. You are my relative. You are my family.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else?
Well, the notes that I put down, this is Tall Pumps.
Yes.
It was setting the tone and the spirit through positive affirmations, through the music, those traditions that we're familiar with. When you come into a church or a place of worship, oftentimes you put yourself in a position to open your spirit up when we have the praise and worship before we have the preacher will come to the pulpit. But it's setting the atmosphere for the preparation to receive from our God. I heard her say, I say, Wusa. And we hear that a lot.
Yes.
It was I say in my spirit. It's a lively meditation to activate the God within with the vibrations, what's already inside of you to activate for your growth. With those positive affirmations that I heard her say, those words that she said. So that's what I got out of it.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else?
This is Truck Driver.
Yes, sir.
What I got out of it, and I agree with the other ladies that had spoken, and with the bounce off of what Tall Pumps was saying, it's like it was an invitation to coming, all of us come together and come receive the peace, the love, and the joy and the encouragement of us to do what we have to do, but we need to come together as one, as a whole.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else?
This is Sassy Cassie again.
Yes.
I like jazz, and toward the end there was a jazziness that I really identified with too. So I like every aspect of the chant, but I really enjoyed the jazzy part.
And she gets more in depth. You'll hear more guttural. She gets like I said, there's about 8 minutes left of it. She still has many more affirmations that she's going to say in it, but you'll hear a lot of and as I think SK8843 said, you see and feel so many elements. When I listened to that, I said, I see exactly what they brought across when they brought the slaves, because I heard all of that. I heard all of that in that chant. I could hear so many different elements and aspects of what we still do today. And it resonated with me. But yeah, that jazziness was there. Definitely. Definitely. Anybody else?
You hear me?
Yes, Rashida, go ahead.
Okay. No, I agree with what everyone said. I actually was sitting there thinking, wow, this sounds like the mothers and the deacons that I grew up listening to during devotion. they would pray and sound just like that. And so
Mhm.
it just really, really took me back to that place.
Listen, me too, Rashida. And I tell you, I was sitting there trying to hold it together. And the first time I heard it, and I do believe that's the chant where I got, when I look in the mirror, I see power. That's one of the affirmations that she gave. But as she goes on and really gets into it and breaks that thing on down, child, I'm telling you, she gets the moaning and groaning and carrying on. And I'm telling you, it felt like I was transported back to where I grew up in church as well. So, and mine was a Pentecostal experience versus a Baptist experience. But at the end of the day, when you go tribal, it doesn't matter. It transcends. And that's what's so powerful about it, because it transcends all of the divisions that we've made amongst ourselves. If you really listen to the motherland, we're still yet one, but unfortunately, we've divided ourselves. But I mean, the power was there. Anybody else? And thank you for sharing that. So I want to. I don't want to cut anybody off. Did anybody else have comment? I saw something moving. How does that align itself with your spirituality? Now, I will say this, because this is what I wanted to kind of stop before I went into the next 8 minutes. Even as she's talking and invoking the spirit of Oye, she mentioned black magic. And I don't know what do you, let me just ask this question first and foremost. How do you feel about black magic? What do you feel about black magic?
I personally understand and believe it's a spirituality when you put that word on it. And as I was raised in the church, a lot of times people that practice what they consider black magic or voodoo, it was always a negative connotation. So as I've grown older and I understand what that is, it's a spirituality.
Mhm.
And we can use that word when we say, "Oh, black girl magic" or something like that, and it's all how you understand it's used. But I would say that it's a word that's synonymous with spirituality. If you understand truly what it is and what they're doing when they say those words or use those words.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else?
This is Sassy Cassie. I'm in a transitioning state in a lot of areas, and spirituality is one of them. I have not experienced I know a lot of the negative connotations, but my spirit is open to receive. I believe that God is a spirit, so there's no spirit that exists God does not know about. There are good spirits and bad spirits. And so, that being said, I believe that the spirits are always calling.
Mhm.
And what she's uttering is our calls, positive calls,
Mhm.
to come and receive positive things into your life. And so I don't think it's a black in this situation. I don't feel any negativity. I don't think it's negative, and I appreciate it. I need that call in my life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? I asked that question because, again, when we talk about spirituality, and I appreciate everything that you guys said, and I think you're all over where I want to be, because your spirituality has the ability to expand so much farther beyond than what we've been taught. And immediately when I heard her say black magic, my mind rushed to all of the people that would have immediately said this is demonic when they heard her say black magic. They didn't matter all the other affirmations she said prior to that. They would have immediately, when she said black magic, said that what she was doing was demonic, and people are opening themselves up to a demonic spirit. And so at the end of the day, I also challenge us to understand, where did the idea of black magic as being negative and demonic come from? And more than likely, I would contend that it came from people that didn't understand it, people that heard it. And I'm going to go back to the idea of Christianity. And again, I'm not bashing Christianity. I'm just trying to get us to understand the ways in which it has limited and restricted certain areas. So if I am a white evangelical Christian, which is how the slaves were evangelized by white evangelical Christians who were racist, then if I see you moving and chanting and calling and what you're doing is having power, what you're doing is manifesting results, and I don't understand it. And I'm saying even to the extent of, say, coming to a black church where we have a healing line. I can remember when I was growing up, we were considered very, very strange to, I was in a predominantly white community in a white area where we went to church. They perceived all of that behavior, even our shouting, dancing, speaking in tongues, as very, very strange. So that would be something that would be labeled with a negative connotation to it, but it doesn't mean that it's negative. It just means that whoever labeled it and heard it and said it was bad didn't have an understanding of it. So I would even challenge us there. And I'm not trying to say one thing one way or the other than I think that everything needs to be reevaluated and needs to be explored again, because some things, particularly whether it's what you're dealing with in dealing with people of color, whether you're dealing with gender issues, whether you're dealing with cultural norms and shiftings, where does that come into play when we think about how, and so that I'm gonna go back to the original question I asked you all at the very beginning. Who actually shaped your spirituality and how was that formed? Who shaped your spirituality and how was that formed? Even with that, I'll add to it, even those that helped to shape it and form it were for you and with you. How many of them were knowledgeable? How many of them were educated? How many of them had understanding or not? And does anybody feel free enough to answer that or respond to that question at all? And you don't have to.
May I jump in real quick? This is SK.
Yes, go ahead.
My initial understanding of God and of spirituality was definitely formed by my immediate family and extended family, and only a particular portion of my extended family, because if they did not attend church, I essentially did not know them at all. I knew that we were related, but as far as real relationships with them, if I didn't know them from church, I really didn't know them well. And I just want to add also that in my mind, there is a specific political dimension to religion, and that I think that there was misunderstanding on the part of colonizers and enslavers, but I also think there was a lot of understanding. They knew there was power. They knew there was unity. That's why they tried to stamp out their languages, their names, their culture, and most particularly their spiritual beliefs, because there is, and still is, a lot of power in our united spiritual belief.
Yes, definitely. And thank you for that dynamic, because there definitely is, without a doubt, another element that's involved there. So appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And powerful when you and I'll say, no, I don't want to say more. I want to hear from you all more so. Anybody else that has something that wants to say?
Okay, this is Sassy Cassie. My beginnings also was shaped by family and my environment. And then once I graduated high school and my sassiness took me other places, I began to embark upon building my own understanding of what it was. And I was I'm more open. To me, I always say variety is the spice of life. So I wanted to explore that area other than what I was taught. and God began to meet me, and I will say, well, my spiritual understanding began to grow, and now I'm at a place where it can grow the most.
Awesome. That I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else? Okay, no. I love the idea of really exploring. Because I went back to tribal versus the organized, and this is probably going to be all I'm going to do on the foundational level from this premise, because I definitely want to get more into the spirituality. But I felt like I wanted to open up this space right here today with the fact that I'm going to assume everybody here is probably Christian. That's an assumption. And so I wanted to open our minds and open our understandings, because eventually I hope and would pray that there are going to be other faith traditions here and other faith traditions participating, and to be able to have conversation without some of the, what I want to say, strain that currently exists between the faiths. And particularly I want to pull out the Christianity part for us, because I know that because we believe in proselytizing, which is to make converts, we believe in proselytizing, and everybody has to be converted, and that they must be converted into our way of Christianity. It can create a very difficult conversation amongst us with other faiths. So with that being said, even where it stands with, and that's why I was waiting. I appreciate you guys. Nobody in here had a reaction when she said black magic. Honestly, nobody had a reaction. I'm assuming that's a nobody had a reaction. I can tell you places that I could go and quick, fast, and in a hurry. When they heard black magic, everything else that she said would be out the window and non-existent. So I'm glad that you all are open enough that you didn't even have a sense of reaction to it. I will put this chant out here. What I'm going to do is allow that we will have assignments, and you'll find your assignments in Prodigy. So I'm trying to think of how to get you. So, okay, go back to where you came in, and I sent you a message that allowed you to be a part of a community. And there is a billboard out there that you all can have, that you can have conversations among yourselves. You can post questions. You can put whatever you want out there to communicate as a class. But I will also put assignments out there so that you can see, and I'll probably follow it up with the email so it won't be difficult. I was trying to think, how can I guide you back? But I'll make it so it's not difficult for you to get to the links, where I'll put your assignments where, and the assignments are just merely asking. I'm going to keep asking you questions. I'm going to keep hopefully disrupting. Was there anything that I shared today that disrupted anybody in their place of belief system at all? Is everybody cool with everything that I said today?
Yes, I am.
Great.
I am.
I'm cool.
Excellent. Okay.
Yeah, I am as well.
So journal and the questions that I asked: who created, who formulated, and where may I ask this question? Has anybody moved a tremendous amount away from where their spirituality started? Has anybody had a tremendous transition?
Yes.
Anything about that transitional change you want to share, Rebel?
It's kind of lengthy, so I'm not going to share a lot. I just know that I am definitely not where I was maybe, I'm going to say about 20 to 30 years ago. I started my transition spiritually away from the church probably when I was 28, and started to learn about different things, and started to realize that there was more to spirituality than just what I had been taught.
Okay. Okay. Good. Anybody else that's willing to go ahead, truck driver.
I'm sorry. I see a change in mine because, like I've shared with you and what have you, when I met Rebel and Rebel turned me on to you, I started seeing things different, and the way that you could look at Christianity from the tradition of what I was taught out of all these years, over the years and over the years, of the same thing over and over and over and over. And since, like I say, I would say just about what we've been knowing each other a year or two or what have you, that's when I realized, and here it is, I'm 58 years old, and I'm just now getting the concept of really understanding by being around people that, as you would say, living outside, going outside of the box of teaching the truth per se, doing the old traditional ways that things was taught when I was growing up and I was younger.
Mm. Love it. And you are, I'm telling you, you are just such a refreshing spirit to me. It's a blessing. And I love the hunger, and I love the questioning, and I love the seeking and the searching, because that to me, spirituality, when you really hit a place of spirituality, to me, it creates wonderment, a wonder that's always seeking and searching and looking for that Spirit of God in the freshness and the truth and the reality of it. It just causes something in you that's constant, and then with that releases a whole different dimension of creativity, because as I wonder more about this and as I explore more in that, there's more that's constantly being revealed to me, and it just becomes more and more exciting, which to me, religion almost does the exact opposite, because the more you get entrenched in it, the less interest you have in it. Anybody relate to that?
I do.
Yes, I do. This is SK. May I jump in real quickly?
Yes.
I feel that I started a personal spiritual journey even as a child, because I saw the difference between my grandfather, who was my original pastor, and my father, who eventually became the pastor of that church. Whereas my grandfather was very strict and very, in my opinion, focused on avoiding sin, and very judgmental about people who might have committed this or that sin. Whereas my father was more committed to the fact that God is love, and that our love for God and love for one another is the basis of what God expects from us in our lives. And as I began to look at those things, and of course we were taught, a lot of scriptures, and I would read them and ask God, okay, what does this really mean? What is this really saying? And if love is the basis of this, how can I interpret this? And also, as I said, by knowing that there were members of my family, some of them actually close relatives, who we did not hang around simply because they didn't go to church. But then as I did get old enough to start to know them, I realized there were some very, very good people, and actually, in some cases, more moral than some of the people that I did know from church. So I think from that and just observation and questioning, I began to embark on my own spiritual journey, and not necessarily think that what I had been taught as a child was all there is.
That's so good. That's so good. Yes. Thank you. Whew. And I know the journey, so yes. That's awesome. Anybody else? I'm gonna try to stay close to the time, but I don't want to cut anybody off. I want to hear what you have to say.
This is Sassy Cass. I just want to share. This is really my coming out season, because I'm being unleashed. I'm ready to open up. I'm ready to roar and exhale, because I feel like you say, I've been confined. I've been held back. And Maya said that she knows why the cage bird sings. Well, I'm through singing. I'm a lion and I'm ready to roar. I'm ready. I'm ready to be uncaged and engaged.
Awesome. I love it. And you know what? The world is ready for it too. You're ready and the world is ready. It's your time. It's your time. Thank you. And thank you for being here. Anybody else? I just want to say, as we get ready to get out of here, this is going to be the extent from here. Next week, we're talking about energy. You saw me stop. We're talking about energy. We're talking about frequency. We're talking about the elements of nature, because again, there is a spiritual reality that when we connect back to the basics, and like I said, this is going to be the extent, more than likely, other than when I get to the freedom piece, that we'll actually talk church related, because I just wanted to do this, number one, as an intro and a foundation, so that we could all be on the same page, so that there's, again, the ability for us to have open communication and share with one another and be able to talk openly without any kind of hindrances, hopefully, from being on different pages. So you understand where I stand, and that's what I really wanted to do, was give a foundation of, this is my position on it. Now let's do this thing. So we're going to come back and talk about energy. We're going to come back and talk about frequency. We're going to come back and talk about agreements between the elements of nature, and put all of this together into how we can now begin to operate at a different vibrational plane, at a different level that transcends all of the things that we may have been taught when we were young or children. And now we're getting ready to delve into a whole nother pool, if you will. This is going to be a whole nother baptism outside of all of the trappings of what we had coming in. Now, with that, I want to close with this. And I want you this week to think about, I'm going to make a statement, and this will be the close to this piece as far as getting everybody on the same religious page. I'm going to make this statement, and I'm going to ask you to respond to how you interact with my statement. And it's a true statement, and I'd love for you to just journal on it to be able to process all of your different thoughts that you may still have as a result of the way you were raised. Before I, quote unquote, gave my life to the Lord, I felt like I already knew God. And that's a true statement. As early as I can remember, I felt like I knew God, and I felt like I had a relationship with God. However, when I got to be of age, I was obviously taught I didn't know God, and I needed to have God in my life. And I feel like I went through, and to keep it short, I did all the things the way the church said do it, and I did not get the results. And every time I would release myself from that and just go back to nature, and I can give more details later on, but not today, it would always manifest the power of God in my life. And so I felt like I knew God from the beginning. I was taught away from God only to have to come back to God outside of the tenets and the methods of the church. So I'd like for you to write down your reaction to that statement. And again, your journaling is for you to keep, but again, it's for an opportunity to really see and sense, what are my thoughts about these ideas? Because what if somebody else comes and says, I've felt like I've always known God. And again, how do we interact and how do we respond to that? What I do want you to do for nature this week, does everybody have some place where they could go, where they could walk on? Okay, let me do this. There's a book that I asked you all to get, and I'm gonna put the page up for you all to look at. One of the exercises that she has, and it talks about right standing without conscience, without scripture. And she starts talking about a lot of different things outside of the biblical faiths, and just deals with becoming one and spiritual in nature. So she has an exercise where, I don't care whether you do it with water, I don't care if you do it on a wooden floor, but I want you to have some kind of interaction with nature and just release yourself to connect and be one with it. Case in point, she talks about how she took her shoes off took her socks off and was having a spiritual experience, and she felt that there was a connection between her feet, her body, and the floor. Does that make sense what I'm saying? There was a spiritual interaction that was happening in her world that included the floor that was under her feet, the wooden floor that was under her feet, that she'd never really given any thought to it before. I tend to have more manifestations when I'm with the water. I want you to choose whatever it is and however it is. I want you to find some way to interact with nature on this week, and then engage with it in a spiritual way, in the concept that we're one with nature, and how much are we actually aware of the nature that's around us and actually connected to it, where we actually feel I am connected to this. So that's the assignment I want you to do this week. Find some place, sometime, somewhere, have a spiritual experience where I want you to, and if you do this exercise and you're like, listen, STL, I didn't get nothing. I tried walking on the wooden floor. I didn't feel nothing. I got in the water. I didn't feel nothing. Write that down and be truthful and honest about it. But I want you to try to have an experience where you actually connect yourself purposefully with nature and for a spiritual experience. And with that, I'm gonna get ready to close out with this, and I'm gonna share this screen one more time. And here we go. Let me see where I am. I'm having to go back and forth between screens. Can you all see my screen that says affirmations?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay. This is something that I hope that and as we're developing and walking along this journey, this meditation, hover over me, God. Hover over me, God. Hover over me. The visual that comes to mind is almost like a cloak covering you, almost like a cloak that the power to keep anything from you that shouldn't be, and protect and cover. Hover over me, God. See and feel and sense God's presence for you and with you. And I would even encourage you, as you take this spiritual journey that I'm asking you to encounter with nature, to just take these words and speak, hover over me, God. Please permeate and saturate where you already abide, because God already abides in you. But the ability to find every nook, every cranny, every place that we may feel that we've failed, every place that we may feel insecure, every place that we may feel, whatever we need to bring, let his presence permeate and saturate. But I always want you to remember where you already abide, because he's already there and he will not leave you. The presence of God will not leave you. And so this is an affirmation that I'm going to go through almost every time. I am a spiritual, divine soul. I will not shrink myself for souls who will not understand me. When I look in the mirror, I see power. I am divine. I am powerful. I am light. I am a sacred text. Engage me for love's service. Ashe. And with that, beloved, I'm done. Is there anything anybody wants to say before we get out of here? I hope that this has been beneficial. And again, this was introductory. Hopefully next time we can come in and jump right in and get right to it. But I hope this was beneficial to you, and I hope you can take something away out of it. Anything anybody wants to say?
I do want to make mention of the IFHC channel that you have. I saw that earlier. If anybody from the class, if you have something that you want to share, or if you have questions, or if you're having problems, technical problems too, that's where I'm going to check to see if you have technical issues. But I think that's a good channel to use, for future references.
That's good. That's good. Thank you. Thank you. I do have that text channel out there. Anybody else? Thank you, Rashida. You're always taking care of me.
I have a question. When you say channel, are you talking about in Discord, or are you talking about in the from the email when you go into the course?
It's in Discord. As the one that I'm talking about is actually in Discord.
Okay.
So I have several places out there, and we'll try to whittle that down so it's not confusing. I do have several places out there where you can interact, and the idea being that with the students, I want you all to be able to talk amongst yourselves if once we get into it, because this was just our jumping off point in introduction.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes. Who's talking? Hello? Two Tams? Was that two Tams?
Yeah, that was Sue Tams.
I guess I lost
Well,
Go
can
ahead.
you hear me now?
I can now, yes.
Tams, can you still can't hear STL, right?
Two Tabs can't hear her. I can hear everybody else.
Okay. You
Hmm.
stay after, and I'll see if I can help you with that.
Okay. I'm gonna load it on my tablet today and start using it instead of my phone.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. And Rashida will walk. Well, she can't hear me anyway, but Rashida will walk her through. Anybody else? Okay. I appreciate you guys. Now, I'm going to probably reach out to you guys individually if that's okay and get some feedback, and because I want to shape this and sculpt it to.
I have to get off and go do something. I'm gonna try later. I think I'm too in a place called there to even go for it right now. So have a good day. I love you.
Love you.
Love you too.
Love you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay. We're out, but I'll probably reach out to each of you guys if it's okay. Sassy Classy, do I have your information anywhere?
I'm Cassandra Isaiah. I just have a title.
Girl, get out of here. Got you. Okay, so I'm on point there. I'll reach out to each of you individually. Feel free if there's stuff that you want me to talk about as well. I'm happy to do that also. This first time is going to go just a little bit long. I'll edit it down, but from here going forward, I'm going to try very, very diligently to let you guys go at 11:15. I love you. I want you guys to have a great day. Okay.
Love you more.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Everybody have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Good day. Everybody be blessed.
Okay, truck driver. Love you.